Dream, what does it presage? Dreamland is one of the 36-dimension time and spaces. Dream is a phenomenon behind which there is a hidden essence, as is the case with any phenomenon. It is the hidden essence that has caused the emergence of phenomenon. Mirage is only a phenomenon, but the essence that has caused the phenomenon of mirage is the Elysium world. Movement is a phenomenon, but the essence causing the occurrence of this phenomenon is instinct and gravitation. Man is also a phenomenon, and the essence prompting the emergence of man is the transmigration of life. What is the essence of dream? The essence of dream is the rehearsal and presage of future event. Let's first have a look at some examples about dream. On an April night in 1865, Lincoln, the American well-known president, had a dream in which he discovered a crowd of people wailing when he strolled in the White House. He entered a room and found that his soldiers were guarding a corpse. He asked them whose body this was. They answered, "The president, he was assassinated." The next day he told this dream to his wife and other people. Several days later, this terrible dream came true. President Lincoln was assassinated. Before the sailing of the famous passenger ship Titanic, a British merchant named Canon Middleton dreamed of the ship floating on the sea with upturned keels. Crews and passengers around were swimming and floating. The next night he had the same dream, which prompted him to cancel the plan to travel by Titanic. Very soon, his dream became a reality. In August 2002, I had this dream. I was walking on a strange road when suddenly a massive cloud drifted over my head. I jumped up to pull the cloud down only to find that the cloud resembled a bundle of coiled cotton. I unfolded the bundle layer by layer and saw a new hat, a new suit of clothes, and a new pair of shoes in the bundle. The only thing lacking was a pair of trousers. The next day I told the dream to my wife, who grumbled, "That might not be a good omen." In the next few months, I busied myself madly for several people who claimed to have lost the love of their fathers, and they affectionately called me Dad. But actually I was fooled and cheated, nearly ripped of all my belongings earned through years of hard work. This is really a case 3 decades of toil end up in nothing in a night's time. Later, upon reflection, I came to realize the omen of this dream. New hat, new clothes, and new shoes foretold that I would have no hat, clothes, and shoes to wear. In the dream, no trousers appeared, so I was left with a scanty amount of property to subsist on. There is another story about dream. I cannot remember from which book I have read the story and what names the characters have. An influential official in one dynasty of China had a dream one night, in which he rode the carriage of the incumbent prime minister and the prime minister drove the carriage for him. But the prime minister moved only 8 steps forward. When he awoke from the dream, he analyzed his dream to some relevant people, saying that he would succeed the position of the prime minister and his tenure would last 8 years. It later proved that his dream had come true as analyzed. The above, for example, shown that, far from being illusory and untrue, dreams are rehearsals and revelations of the future realities. There are a large number of dreams in this aspect which have been recorded in a lot of books, foreign or domestic, ancient or modern, especially in the Bible. Actually, if we are good at summarization, we will find that all our dreams are a demonstration of what is in store for us in future. Whether we can uncover their secrets depends on our analytical capability and telegnosis. I find that China's ancient book, Duke Zhou's Interpretation of Dreams, is a very valuable book. The correlations between dreams and their predictions are almost correct. You may well have a try and interpret your own dreams with the help of this book. The famous book Interpretations of Dreams by Freud has certain significance in psychological analyses, but it did an extremely poor job in analyzing the essence of dream. In the chapter The Unconscious and Consciousness, Reality, Freud says, "And how about the value of the dream for a knowledge of the future? That, of course, we cannot consider. One feels inclined to substitute for knowledge of the past." Many dreams are obviously predicting the future happenings, but Freud did not admit this. Many dreamlands have always been beyond the expectations of the dreamers, but Freud would stick to his opinion that for knowledge of the past. The majority of people believe that dreams are fantasies and illusions emerging from their subconsciousness. But I would say that the visions of dreams are not scenes in the subconsciousness but rather the revelation of another time and space. Our fleshes are sleeping on bed, but our spiritual beings have left our fleshes and entered another time and space. Let's have a look at the following example. An American businessman called Wilmot once took the passenger ship called Limerick and left Liverpool of England for America. One night he dreamed that his wife, whom he had not seen for a long time, came aboard his ship in sleepwear. She walked directly toward him and kissed him. When she attempted to sleep with him, she spotted another man in the cabin. Thus she hesitated for a second and vanished. The next morning that man called William Ted, who shared the cabin with him, said to him, "Last night I saw you were with a woman," and he forced Wilmot to make clarifications as to whether he had secretly seduced any woman. Wilmot was greatly surprised. "Last night I dreamed that my wife came to see me. Have you also had this dream and have seen the scenes of my dream?" What is even more amazing, when he returned to his home in New York, his wife told him that once she dreamed that she went aboard his ship and kissed him, but left when she discovered another man in the cabin. Weird? Inconceivable? The above is a typical dream. In fact, none of our dreams are illusory. Instead, they all have a solid existence. A story is thus recorded in a book. Two girls shared a room with two separate beds. One night, one of the girls saw dimly a handsome man having sex with her roommate. The roommate was groaning with a great sense of comfort. Blushing shamefully, she quickly covered her head with the quilt. After a while, when she had completely sobered up, she lifted the quilt to steal another glance but found that the man had left and her roommate was sleeping like a log. The next morning she said to her roommate impatiently, "What have you done last night? Be honest and tell me who that man was?" Completely taken aback, her roommate thought to herself, "How did she know what happened in my dream last night?" So she put a bold face. "What man? I have been sleeping on my bed all night. Stop talking nonsense." That girl rebuked, "I thought we were good friends for years. I saw clearly you were sleeping with a handsome man last night. Why do you deny?" Without choice, her roommate told her that in her dream last night she could not resist the temptation of a handsome man and had an affair with him. The matters in dreams are more complicated than those in the human world. One cannot explore all the secrets of dreams in his lifetime research. I have cited a few examples here to demonstrate to you that dreams are another time and space and another real world. By far, man is still at the initial stage in understanding dreams. Only if we believe in the greatest creator can we uncover the many secrets in the universe. Otherwise, we will be like a swarm of aimless flies and take a shot in the dark.
38. 宗教与上帝
38. Religion and the greatest creator. First, we must know what religion is. Religion is a spiritual and psychological activity through which man gets to know, believe in, worship, and follow God and Buddha. Strictly speaking, only Christianity and Buddhism can be called real religions. Although Islamism and Catholicism are also practiced as religions, they have interfered too much in secular affairs. So Islamism and Catholicism cannot be counted as pure religion. Hinduism was formed earlier than Buddhism, but actually it can only be regarded as a source for Buddhism. Derived from the blending of Bhakti and the Sufi orders of Islamism, Sikhism has no independent ideological system since its content can be found in Buddhist sutras and in the Quran. China's Taoism mainly preaches the unity of heaven and man and the telepathy between heaven and man. Without a system of theory about God, Taoism cannot be regarded as a spiritual and psychological activity through which man gets to know, believe in, worship, and follow God and Buddha, but a social activity of mankind. Derived from the blending of Buddhism and Taoism, Japan's Shintoism also has no new content and system. Protestantism and Orthodox Church are branches of Christianity, so they do not have independent ideological system. Primitive religions cannot be regarded as a religion but only a social activity because they are mainly a worship of ghosts and gods, ancestors, totems, and idols, and do not have an integrate understanding of God. Ancient Egyptian religion, ancient Babylonian religion, the worship of celestial ruler supreme god in China's Yin and Zhou dynasties, Phoenician religion, Hinduism religion, Vedic religion, and ancient Iranian religion. All these have basically evolved from primitive religion. They mainly worship natural objects or natural force, and they do not have a perfect perception of God. Therefore, they can only be a social activity and cannot become pure spiritual and psychological activity. Having its own independent understanding of God, Zoroastrianism, called fire worship religion in China's history, was later absorbed by Christianity and Buddhism. Its essence is still visible in the Christian and Buddhist classics. The essence of Manichaeism, called Zoroastrianism in China, can also be found in Christian and Buddhist classics. Thus, Manichaeism also has no independent and perfect system. Brahmanism is actually Vedic religion in essence. A religion of ancient India, Brahmanism has gods in the form of personified natural phenomena. Its theory of 3 paths and 4 lives has been modified and carried forward by Sakyamuni. Hinduism has a long history and a numerous and jumbled content, but it does not have a clear thinking and path and renders a perplexed feeling, so it cannot be regarded as a religion. Jainism has a long history and an independent theoretical system, but its essence has been incorporated into Buddhism and the Drosas parts have been overthrown by science, and thus it cannot survive as a religion. Strictly speaking, Judaism is not the religion of God but the religion of the greatest creator. Its scriptures are mainly the Old Testament of the Bible. But it is not perfect as a religion of the greatest creator because it cannot answer the basic questions concerning the characteristics of the greatest creator, and thus is not convincing. Although pursuing the consciousness and love of God in the level of spiritual nature, Kirtan and the Bhakti movement has confused the greatest creator with God. And its leader does not consider Krishna consciousness movement a religion, but only regards it as a movement of science, thus confusing science with religion. Therefore, the movement can only be regarded as reflection of the wisdom of ancient Indian sages and cannot be considered a religion. Falun Gong that prevailed in the last few years was a philosophical pursuit of truth, kindness, and endurance by the common people with a pent-up spiritual nature. Falun Gong had no clear understanding of God and Buddha, and its concept of space was also perplexing. Therefore, it can only be counted as a mass social activity and is not a religion. In other small religious groups, small numbers of people suffering emotional and spiritual emptiness engage in a blind spiritual and emotional pursuit to get rid of loneliness and seek group identity or comfort, just like a crowd of people getting together to chat and divert their humdrum, which cannot be counted as religions. In the future, Christianity and Buddhism will be the only religions remaining, and the rest will gradually perish with the development of science and the progress of mankind. Christianity and Buddhism are 2 relatively independent and complete religions as well as 2 contradictory religions. However, as a social phenomenon, religion will ultimately perish with the passage of time, and in the future the great variety of religions will be unified as one single religion. How do the different religions unify as a whole? Let's take a look at the religions that have appeared in history. At the beginning of each religion, all its followers were firmly convinced that their religion was the only true religion that would exist forever, and other religions were all evil cults and heresies. However, with the development of the times, the progress of mankind, and especially the flourishing of science, those religions have all faded out from the stage of history. Then, can Christianity and Buddhism exist forever? We have to ask the greatest creator to answer this question. Can the greatest creator create 2 mutually contradicting religions? If this question is not easy to answer, we might as well ask directly, was religion created by the greatest creator? If the answer is yes, then the disappearance of religions and the mutual contradictions between different religions can only prove the disorganized thinking of the greatest creator. But this is not the case for the greatest creator we meant. If the answer is no, This shows that Christianity and Buddhism are not the religion of the greatest creator. If religion is not created by the greatest creator, then who made it be, man, God, or Buddha? No matter whether it is created by man, God, or Buddha, or how difficult it is for its followers to accept the reality, the religion will finally die out if it cannot answer all the questions raised by man and cannot explain all the phenomena of the nature and life of the universe, because this religion can no longer guide man. Religion was progressive at the time of its emergence and had pushed forward the development of human history. However, if we stick to some old-fashioned doctrines and guide today's activities with the teachings of 2,000 years ago, the development of our spiritual nature will only be hindered. In the same way, the dynasties in history had all propelled the development of social productivity and facilitated social progress at the time when they were established, but with the passage of time, what were originally progressive became the backward fetters hindering social development. Just like Marx's analysis, when certain superstructure is no longer adaptable to its economic foundation and the production relations are no longer suitable to the development of productivity, such superstructure and production relation is bound to be eliminated and superseded by more advanced superstructure and production relation. Why can science always prevail? The reason is that science is continually developing. If Einstein dogmatically stuck to Newton's mechanics, he would not be able to develop the theory of relativity. If later scientists held the theory of relativity as universally true, then it would be difficult for the birth of quantum mechanics. The development in the history of mathematics also has demonstrated that the future lies only in development. A glorious palace of mathematics has been created only with the continuous exploration stretching from natural number, positive number, negative number, whole number, fraction, irrational number, rational number, imaginary number, and complex number. If we only stick to natural number and deny the existence of other numbers, and if we do not engage in thinking and attempts to solve all problems with natural numbers, then humankind must be still leading a rough existence in the caves and branches and groping its way in the wilderness and ignorance. Shall we doubt the megatrend of the unification of all religions? We should continue our exploration and predict in advance the unification of all religions. The unification of all religions is not to transform all religions into one religion, and is no longer a psychological and spiritual activity to understand, believe in, worship, and follow God, but a reverence for and praise of the greatest creator. There is only one greatest creator in the universe, but there are countless gods. The greatest creator is not God, and neither is God the greatest creator. Worship God will only distract people's visions, and only by worshiping the greatest creator can we have a definite goal of progress. Instead of imposing one after another spiritual and psychological shackles on mankind, the unification of all religions is the liberation of human nature, enabling man to enjoy life freely. Thus, man will not be forced to go through complicated and tedious rituals at churches or temples. Instead of establishing more papacies, hierarchs, priests, pastors, MCs, abbots, and imams to influence people's life and actions, unification of all religions means equality between men. Unification of all religions has no fixed sutras and scriptures and tenets, but it will carry on and promote all fruits of man's wisdom. In unification of all religions, there will be no followers. It can be said that everyone is a follower and no one is a follower. All people are the subjects of the greatest creator rather than the subjects of any god or Buddha. In a word, unification of religions is the real religion of the greatest creator. It is regarded as a religion but is not a religion in essence. Will Christianity and Buddhism really fade out from the stage of history? In today's world, there are many enthusiastic missionaries, which is a commendable phenomenon. I hope all people will participate in the religious activities. But as a missionary, you should understand the essence of the religion that you are preaching. You should answer all the questions related to God or Buddha. You may do a poor job in preaching if you yourself feel muddle-headed. Everyone engaging in religious activities should always raise questions as why? Why? Once an old Christians couple preached me enthusiastically. They had been doing this for 40 years and could almost recite the whole Bible. They never expected to meet such an inquisitive person like me who raised a lot of questions. Who planted the tree of wisdom in the Garden of Eden? Why was it planted? I had landed them in the most embarrassing situation. I had originally intended to obtain a lot of knowledge about the Bible, but ended in hurting the two old people. I still feel sorry for them even today. As far as I know, the most successful preacher of the Bible today is Jehovah's Witnesses, a group of wise, kind, and sincere people. If all the people in the whole world all become Jehovah's Witnesses, the human world will take the initial form of the paradise. The two magazines Vigilance and Lookout are inclusive book series of wisdom. But there is no perfect man in the world, nor is there perfect organization and religion. I once asked my Bible teacher, who is a Jehovah's Witness, are Eva and Adam the common ancestors for all men? The answer is positive. I asked again, are they also the ancestors of the black people of Africa? My teacher faltered here. If the answer is yes, it proves that Darwin's theory of evolution is correct and that white people can become black people and vice versa, which virtually has negated the theory of the creation of man by the greatest creator. If the answer is no, it means that Adam and Eva are not the common ancestors of mankind, which has virtually negated the verity of the Bible. It is so with Christianity. Then how about Buddhism? In modern world, there is a famous Buddhist master and a lay Buddhist well known among overseas Chinese. They are well read in Buddhist sutras. I have read their books or teaching materials. I have felt their profound spiritual nature and outstanding talents. They have made immeasurable contribution to the diffusion of Buddhism. But even the best gem is not flawless. That a gem has flaws does not mean it is not precious. Only artificial gem and glass would be free of blemish. Even people with such profound knowledge of Buddhism are also spreading fatuity. For example, one says that as long as a mosquito is not biting on the face but on other places, we should let it suck until it is full, and we should not kill it because that is killing of life. Another one takes pity on cockroaches. He will let cockroaches go on the rampage in his kitchen. He would do nothing to interfere. Once, 2 cockroaches even crawled on his table, and even then he still felt reluctant to drive them away. This care and mercy for life is something that we should learn from. The problem is this the kind of mercy advocated by Buddha? Buddhism preaches equality between all living creatures. What is the definition of all living creatures? Buddha Sakyamuni tells Subhuti in Diamond Sutra, all bodhisattvas and mahasattvas should subdue their minds as follows. All living beings born from eggs, wombs, humidity, or by transformation. With or without form. Either thoughtful or thoughtless. And neither thoughtful nor thoughtless. Are all led by me to the final nirvana for the extinction of reincarnation. Although immeasurable, uncountable, and unlimitable numbers of living beings are thus led to the final nirvana for the extinction of reincarnation. His teachings tell us in definite terms that man, animals and plants, insects, microorganisms, and bacteria are all living creatures. Mountains, rocks, fields and soils, wind, clouds, rain, and snow are all living creatures. Not only tangible and visible objects are living creatures, even things invisible to man are also living creatures. Not only things capable of thinking are living creatures, objects with no thinking and consciousness are also living creatures. All living creatures are equal. We should have mercy and care for all living creatures. We should not abuse killing, and this should be the real signification of mercy preached by Buddha. However, there are principles for mercy, and mercy is mutual. The prerequisite for mercy should not violate with each other. Unprincipled mercy only leads to fatuity. Mosquitoes should have their own food and territory of activity. They should not suck man's blood and harass man. When they live in the ponds, we need not hurt them. But if they go beyond their area of existence and suck man's blood, then they are on the way to wickedness. Should we show our mercy even for those wicked things? Cockroaches are insects, and insects should live in insects' territory. Kitchens are areas of activity for man, and cockroaches should not do what they want here. If we throw the reins to cockroaches, then what shall we do if rats, flies, fleas, bugs, centipedes, house centipedes, and cobras all pour into the kitchens? If we preach unprincipled mercy, what shall farmers do with the weeds overgrowing in the crop fields? Weeds are also life. If we let them overspread the fields according to the Buddhist master and the lay Buddhist, what will the results be? People will have nothing to live on. If we advocate unprincipled mercy, how do we deal with the wounds? There are a large number of bacteria at the wound, and we will certainly kill those bacteria if we smear drugs or bind up the wound. Should we let the wound rankle and putrefy for the sake of the bacteria? What should we do with the spider's web in the bedroom? If we destroy the web, we are being cruel to the spider. But if we do not, should we watch the flies, mosquitoes, and moths ensnared by the web and eaten by the spider? Every plant is a life. Shall we or shall we not grind the life of wheat grains into flour for food? In each cup of water there are tens of thousands of bacteria. Shall we drink or shall we not drink? Shall we move our steps or shall we not move our steps, since we will trample on tens of thousands of living beings in each step? Has the Monkey King unjustly killed the Lady White Bone? Shall all the police be disbanded and sent home to take care of their children? No wonder that the areas where Buddhism flourishes have poorer hygienic conditions, since they are dedicated to protect lives. No wonder people in a Buddhist country tend to be worldly wise for personal safety. They dare not and are unwilling to stand out and hold out the evil things, and the evil things will just run amok. The reason is that they all have a mercy heart. Instead of adding more shackles, the tenet of religion is to liberate man, destroy the shackles of human nature, and make people enjoy a more pleasant, freer, and happier life. The more rules and regulations, the further away we are from the edifications of God and Buddha. Religion is somewhat connected with fatuity. The greatest creator has not created religion. Religion is the emotional response of man. After the unification of all religions, the greatest creator will exercise direct administration of mankind. Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Lao Tzu will not be forgotten. Instead, their wisdom will be further glorified.
39. 科学与文明
39. Science and civilization. Religion goes hand in hand with fatuity, while science keeps abreast with civilization. Science is the activity and knowledge to understand, explore, and interpret the laws of nature, human society, and thinking. Civilization is a voluntary behavior of man formed on the basis of the correct understanding of material world and non-material world. Without the development and progress of science, civilization is only an extravagant hope. The symbol for real civilization is no slightest conflict between man and man, man and society, and man and nature, and the sustained harmony without the regulations of laws and without the mechanisms of supervision. For example, how do we dispose of the banana peel after eating a banana on the bus? The uncivilized behavior is to throw it out of the window. We only keep a clean place for ourselves and do not care about the inconvenience to others caused by the banana peel thrown out of the window. The less uncivilized behavior is to place the banana peel under the seat and leave the bus. The civilized behavior is to take the banana peel away and throw it into the dustbin. For another example, suppose an automatic newsagent stand is set up by a road with a large flow of pedestrians. Each newspaper sells for $1, and beside the pile of newspaper is placed a money box, from which buyers can get the changes of his money. In this situation, the civilized person would willingly place the money into the money box and take away the changes, and then fetch a newspaper from the top of the pile of newspaper. The less uncivilized person would also place the money into the box, but would fumble through the box for the cleaner and tidier changes and would not take the newspaper directly from the top of the pile but takes one from the middle of the pile. The uncivilized person would trickily pick newspaper from the pile when seeing no one around and would take one or even two newspaper without paying money, thinking, "It does not make any difference whether I take one for free or not." He would not consider other consequences. He would not pay attention to the losses sustained to the owner of the newspaper. For those who do not pay for the newspaper and worse still pick money from the box, this is not a matter of being civilized or not, but a matter of crime. Some may say that civilization does not have much to do with science. In the remote villages with rustic folkway, the doors were not shut at night and no one picked others' loss on the street. And doesn't this count for civilization? This question involves the understanding of science. It is generally believed that space shuttles, ion accelerators, computer networks, magnetic suspension trains, atomic energy power plants, cloning of life, nanotechnology, and atomic bombs are science, but farmers' planting of crops, housewives' cooking, workers' operation, and small business all have nothing to do with science. Many people are biased against science, believing that science is at the same time benefiting mankind and threatening the survival of civilization. For example, as a result of the development of science, people can no longer have any impression of the good old days, in which the doors were not shut at night and no one picked others' loss on the street. Some people even believe that science should be held responsible for the creation of killing machines like firearms, bombers, and atomic bombs, and that science has caused the bustling of mankind and accelerated the pace of life. There are even people who claim that the exhausted resources, the polluted earth, the damaged environment, and people's spiritual and mental stress are all evils committed by science. Science has been treated unjustly. Science is the activity and knowledge for understanding, exploring, and interpreting the laws of nature, human society, and thinking. How can we impute science simply because of some people's crooked application of science to other purposes? Science has caused the emergence of automobiles. Can we blame science if a driver has run into someone? Internet has burst into the modern stage with the development of science. Can we say that science is promoting drugs and pornographic picture albums if someone takes advantage of the network to promote drugs and porn picture albums? With the development of science and the appearance of television, VCD, DVD, CD, films, telephones, and floods of books and magazines, some people are utilizing these facilities to conduct vulgar propaganda, which causes people's tension in sense of time, apathy in human relations, and contortion in psychology and mentality. Can we blame science for all these bad effects? Science has caused the invention of atomic bombs, but can we say that science is intimidating people if someone threatens others with an atomic bomb? If it is tenable to ascribe all misbehaviors and evils of modern society to science, then the following logical reasoning should be completely correct. The reason why Xiao Wang committed murder is because his parents have given birth to him. If his parents have not given birth to him, there would not have been the problem of Xiao Wang's murder. Then not Xiao Wang but his parents should be blamed for the crime. However, Xiao Wang's parents were born by their respective parents, so Xiao Wang's parents' should be responsible for Xiao Wang's crime. If this reasoning goes further back, the primogenitor of mankind will have to be held responsible. Where did man's primogenitor come from? Then the earth cannot be exempt from the liability, because without the earth there would have been no primogenitor of mankind. The problem, however, does not end here. Without the solar system there would have been no earth, and without the Milky Way galaxy there would have been no solar system. And finally, the crime may be traced back to the greatest creator who has created the universe. The result of the logical reasoning is that the greatest creator is responsible for Xiao Wang's action of murder. This discursion is ridiculous. If this rationalization is not absurd, then there would be only one solution: destroy mankind, destroy the universe. Who else wants to shift the blame onto science? There is a fallacy. Science is a double-edged sword, which undoubtedly implies that the sun is a double-edged ball, the orange is a double-edged fruit, the plane is a double-edged aircraft, and TV is a double-edged set. Everything is double-edged anywhere and anytime. The result is one's own parents are double-edged persons. If we compare science to a knife, it totally depends on the user of the knife and has nothing to do with the knife itself, whether the knife is used to chop vegetables, to mow grass, to slaughter pigs, or to kill people. When it comes to science, we have to talk about scientists. Now there are more and more scientists, which are a good thing and an inevitable result of social development. But the problem is, who can be called scientists? Who are scientists? Scientists are people who have discovered and can clearly describe or explain a certain law in the field of nature, society, and thinking, which is universally valid within a given limit of time and space. Newton is a scientist because he has discovered gravitation. Einstein is a scientist because he has discovered the mass-energy equation. Madame Curie is a scientist because she has discovered radioelements. Planck is a scientist because he has discovered quantum theory. Laplace is a scientist because he has discovered the uncertainty principle. Those who work in science laboratories or with scientists can only be called scientific workers and cannot be called scientists. People capable of explaining certain phenomena cannot be called scientists. Otherwise, I would also be a scientist. People working in certain Academy of Sciences cannot be called scientists. People only capable of making innovations and inventions according to others' theories cannot be called scientists and can only be called inventors, engineers, and technicians. Edison is not a scientist. People only capable of expounding others' theories are not scientists either. Many university teachers can explain the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics to students, but they are not scientists, instead they are teachers and professors. A person can only be regarded as one with great power of understanding but cannot be considered a scientist if he has discovered certain law but cannot explain it in clear words. Therefore, those who developed atomic bombs according to Einstein's theories cannot be called scientists. They can at best be regarded as scientific workers or engineers. Scientist is a sacred title. We should not abuse this title by using it randomly. Otherwise, science and scientists will be tarnished. A person is a scientist if he has discovered and explained a certain theory. That he may later do something detrimental to society with his discovery is a matter of his moral character and social standpoint and has nothing to do with the title of scientist. In the same way, a man has created wealth for himself and the society by making a knife. We cannot say that it is wrong to create wealth just because he later becomes a criminal by killing people with this knife. After we have discovered what science and scientists are, we will understand that science is the catalyst for civilization. Without the guidance of science, man would be like a mob of animals, irrational, irredeemable, and hopeless. Science and scientists are offspring of the greatest creator. The greatest creator has not created religion, but he has created science and scientists. A real scientist cannot deny the existence of the greatest creator, because all that are created by the greatest creator are not a result of random actions but are based on science, laws, and principles. The road of science is the road of the greatest creator. Who are nearest to the greatest creator? Scientists. Human society is marching toward civilization. Today's society is more civilized than the past. Modern times are more civilized than past times. Whoever is hostile to science, to present time and is afraid of the future can get undressed, destroy all you have and go back to the virgin forest to see how you can survive.
40. 人类文明的兴起和衰落。
40. The rise and decline of human civilization. In the story of mankind, a well-illustrated book, Hendrik van Loon strings together the great historic events of mankind like pearls. Based on his on-site interviews and investigations in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, India, and other countries, Yu Qiyu wrote a book called A Sigh of Millennium. Based on the on-site interviews and investigations in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, India, and other countries, the Chinese author Yu Qiyu wrote the book A Sign of Millennium. These two books are of great help for the accurately understanding of the rise and decline of human civilizations. We may find that civilizations are the crystallizations of human wisdom when we review the civilization of ancient Egypt civilization, Maya civilization, Persian civilization, Greek civilization, Athens civilization, Roman Empire, Islam civilization, civilization of medieval Europe, and the rise of England. The rise of a civilization depends on the progress of science and technology, without which there would be no civilization. Monkeys and gorillas have longer histories than man, but they have always remained in the wild and primitive stage for lack of the development and progress of science and technology. Then why did the arisen civilization decline? Civilization needs the guidance of an eternal spirit and pursuit. Without the guidance of an eternal belief, a civilization will be formidable and may perish any time. When a nation or country has a relatively advanced productive force, it is likely to think little of everything else. Swelling in pride, it deems itself the greatest creator when looking around. It does what it wants and regards itself the savior of the world. The consequence of swelling pride is that it tends to impose its will on other people, and the result is that it not only has destroyed other civilization but also brought about its own downfall. The Ephraim can survive from many disasters because they have the support of the Bible. The Indian civilization can endure because of the support of Buddha, Brahma, and Magmatron. Chinese civilization has sustained unflaggingly until today mainly due to the support of the idea of oneness of heaven and man. With an eternal supporting point, man will not be overweening. Instead, they will feel modest and know that there is always someone stronger and that man is not the supreme form of life and not the dominant force of the universe. America is the most powerful civilized nation in the world. The rise of its civilization is mainly due to their belief in God. Let's look at the word on the reverse side of the dollar bills. It is, "In God we trust." If America does not believe in God but in itself, it is bound to decline and fall. It is not an easy course of development that man has gone through, and we should cherish what we have today. On the one hand, we are enjoying the fruits of modern civilization, but on the other we are faced with the danger of destruction. Lao Tzu said, "When people have no fear of force, then, as is the common practice, great force descends." What is great force? It refers to a power unimaginable and uncontrollable by man. It is like the deluge recorded in the Bible, which was then unexpected and uncontrollable by man. There is an article called 10 Major Crises Confronted by Man, which mentions the impact of comet hitting Earth, nuclear war, and biorobots' control of mankind. But it didn't mention the greatest creator. It seems that the mere mention of the greatest creator means religious superstition and deviation from science. Will civilization unavoidably come to its end after it has reached certain phase of development? The answer is no. Whether a civilization can develop sustainably depends on whether man has the greatest creator in mind. With the belief